How good or evil are the new truth? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 2 of Hellbound. So, right off the bat, I want to say that if you saw the stuff from yesterday, you might have noticed it was originally uploaded with no audio, like specifically no audio for the what I was reacting to. There was some issue with OBS. I have no idea what it was, but I seem to have gotten it fixed. So hopefully we're good from here on out. I don't know what the issue was, but yeah. It seems to be fixed. I've done a lot of testing, so we should be good on the audio for this. But moving on from that, let's talk about this. So we did the first episode of Hellbound last week. And there was a lot of very interesting intrigue, I guess you could say, to it. A lot that was pretty unique, but also took a lot of obvious inspiration from mythology, you could say. My biggest issue with the first episode was the pacing. I feel the pacing was garbage, honestly. And I feel like over this past week, I've kind of come to realize that even more so than I did when I first watched it. The pacing is like really bad in the first episode. It kind of goes between a number of different things, and it feels like it's length. And this is kind of something that I have always believed, and I think I've brought it up many times on the channel. You know, when I bring up like a show tends to fly by when you're having fun. You know, the entire adage is technically time flies when you're having fun, but in the case of these reactions, when you're really enjoying a series or a movie or whatever, it just tends to fly by. It just tends to go really quickly, and before you know it, it's over because you're enjoying it. You don't perceive the time as going by at a normal rate because you're just so invested in this. So I noticed with the first episode, I was very aware of how much time was passing. In fact, I actually felt like it might have been like a little slow in terms of the fact that I felt like it was lasting longer than it actually was. And that's not a good thing. That doesn't leave a good first impression when you are watching a series and you're thinking it's lasting longer than it is. Because that means that, at least for me, I'm bored. It means that I'm not enjoying it. That I'm looking at the time, waiting for it to be over. And I really hope this is an issue that is fixed with these next episodes. Because that could just be a first episode thing. They have to establish a lot. They have to get a lot going. I can understand if that's just a first episode thing. But if that continues to be an ongoing thing, that's going to be a problem. Like, and the thing is, there's other live action hour-long shows that I've watched that don't have this problem. It's not because it's an hour-long runtime. It's not because it's live action. Imperfects, like, for the issues it did have, this wasn't one of them. I never felt like it was going too slow. That was not one of the issues with Imperfects. But this, it's like, it's distracting. I think that's the biggest issue. it gets distracting, and it starts to take away the enjoyment of any kind of plot and characters and mystery and intrigue that the series has. It leaves, to put simply, a bad taste in my mouth when I'm reacting to something and I start to feel that way. So I'm really, really hoping that that was just a first episode thing. Because I've seen that happen before, where a first episode just, because it has a lot to get going, it feels like it's taking a long time to do so. But then after that, it really starts to pick up. I've seen that before. But hopefully, this is just that. Because I want to make something clear here. You may notice there have been a few drops lately in terms of poll shows. For various reasons, mind you. But I don't want this to keep happening. I feel like it's pretty clear, but just to make it clear even more, I don't like dropping shows. I only drop a show if I feel like I need to do so. Because of not enjoying it or feeling like I shouldn't be reacting to it or whatever. You know the reasons that I've dropped shows recently. It's basically only if I really feel like it's what I need to do. For the channel, for my own mental health, so on and so forth. So I don't want to drop another show this consecutively. You know what I mean? Because it's like both of the past two shows have been dropped for poll series, Imperfect and Vox Machina season 2, and I think maybe like a show before that was dropped too. I'm trying to remember everything from like the past order and all, so excuse me if I'm not like great at remembering all of that. But the point is, I'm having trouble like enjoying doing these when I keep dropping them like this. And that's no insult, by the way, to the shows themselves or the people who make them. It's more of a me thing. So I'm kind of up against the wall here. Because I really, really don't want to drop this. But if this pacing ends up continuing to be this garbage, it's going to take me so drastically out of the immersion of the series, and it's going to just break my interest in it. Bad pacing, sometimes I can put up with. But it depends on different factors. And for a show like this, it's like it actively ruins the flow of the series. So I kind of want to make a statement here. If I do end up dropping this, not necessarily today, but in the future, if I do end up dropping Hellbound, which would also suck because I've been waiting to get to this for a while. It's been on the poll series. It's been on the polls for a while. So that would also doubly suck. But if I do end up dropping it, I think we're going to switch up the polls a little bit. At least for one poll. I think maybe we'll do like a specialty poll. It's been something that's actually been suggested to me. But like doing like a poll for donation rewards, for example. Like, oh, I put in a few different donation rewards I haven't gotten to yet, and everyone votes on which one they want to see me get to next. Doing something like that could be interesting and fun. It's like, these are donation rewards that I already said I would get back to. And it just adds a different layer to that. But again, I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to have to drop this series because I've dropped too many of these poll shows. Though, to be fair, the poll shows, the entire point of this is for shows that I'm not sure if I'm going to like or not. So, this is kind of telling me. But still, it's like, I don't want to do it. I really don't want to. We'll just have to see how the pacing continues to go. Because I am interested in the story. The intrigue and mystery has me interested. For sure. But we definitely have to see where it goes. And I'll just update you as we go. But let's actually talk about the series here. Let's actually get into that. So, in the first episode, we learn that there are these demons who come up from hell to target and kill, but not just kill, but take the soul from a specific victim at a time. And these victims are not just random, they are given notice, like 5 days ahead of time. And they're told, okay, in 5 days, yada yada, we're going to come for you, you're dead. It's pretty straightforward. We even get to see that happen in episode 1. And the being that tells them about their deaths are referred to as angels, specifically by this cult, let's be honest, the New Truth. The New Truth are basically this religious cult who believes that humanity should start to, just be better people. Which, mind you, does not sound bad at all. In fact, it sounds great. Like, your main goal is just for having people be, better. It's like, that doesn't sound bad. But the issue here is that they seem to worship the idea of these people dying to make this cause happen. In fact, we see in the episode, like when this woman goes to the New Truth and its leader, that he doesn't seem at all perturbed by the fact that she's been told she's going to die. In fact, he's like, we're going to use this. We're going to, this is marketable, basically. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're kind of scummy, even if you seem to have, a noble enough goal. We're also introduced to, I guess, who is our main character, this hard-boiled detective whose daughter is kind of in that rebellious stage and is actually working alongside voluntarily with the New Truth. His wife died semi-recently, was killed by a criminal, and so yeah, he's kind of become very down on himself, let's just say that. And excuse me. And he's learning about all of this stuff and trying to figure it out. And the interesting thing is the world kind of knows about all of this going on. There's video online and everything. A lot of people just assume it's fake. But there's plenty of people we see that know that it's real. And so it's like people are acting very casually about it. And it's very weird. I understand the idea is oh, they're in that cell phone generation, yada yada, and they're thinking about how this is good for social media and shit or something. I get the idea they're going for there. It's just it's a little weirdly executed, I guess. But either way, we're just gonna get this going, you know? Enough with the talking. We're just gonna get this going and hope for the best. Really hope for the best here. So when the screen fades to black, excuse me, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I fucking called that this was going to end on a cliffhanger. So, before we get into anything else, I want to say, just right off the bat, the pacing in this episode was vastly improved. It wasn't, like, the best still. It still felt pretty damn slow. But it was still vastly improved from episode 1's pacing. And I think it is because of what I said. I think episode 1 just had so much to introduce us to. Between, showcasing the demons, the angel that sent the message in the first place, introducing all of these different characters. It had so much to get done right off the bat that it was so slow because of it. And so now we have this episode, and it had all of that out of the way. It was able to just get to the story, and that was a lot better. So a lot of this episode is mostly focused on Miss Park. I'll just call her that because I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce the rest of her name. But on her and kind of the aftermath of her being found out to have been proclaimed for death. We're seeing how everybody is reacting to this, what everybody is doing in regards to it. You see it from all these different angles, from the new truth, to the arrowhead, to the cops, to her and her children. And you see how, like, all of these characters are reacting to it, whether or not they believe what's going to happen is going to happen, and so on and so forth. And of course, interspersed in here, you still have the drama with our main detective and what happened with his wife. You see his daughter commit a heinous act of violent murder under the pushing of the leader of the New Truth. So that's fun. I don't understand how this can be okay according to their doctrine. Like, you just blatantly killed a man. Like, yes, he was not innocent. He was a bad guy. He committed a horrible murder. And even if he was drugged out of his mind at the time, like is implied in this, he still committed a murder. He still committed a horrific murder. That's just undeniable. And I believe that anyone can and should be given the ability to change. This is why I believe that the prison system, at least here in America, is fucked. I think that we should focus a lot more on rehabilitation than punishment. Punishment doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help change things. Like, their entire idea is, oh, it will scare people from committing crimes. No, it won't. And it's proven that it won't. It hasn't done anything to stop that. What we need to do is rehabilitate people. That's what will actually change things. But I don't want to get into this entire massive rant about the state of the prison system and shit here in America. But yeah. The what she did here, June, I believe is her name. Again, sorry for mispronouncing any names here. But this is not okay. Like, if you're going by, like, standard biblical logic with your doctrine in the new truth, then she committed quite a heavy sin. Premeditated murder that also, if you noticed, she got pleasure from, is fucking horrifying and wrong. Like, again, revenge is not a reasonable excuse for that. You cannot just say, "Oh, I was getting revenge because he killed my mother." That's not going to hold up. That's not going to hold up. Like, if it was self-defense, that would be one thing. But it wasn't. It wasn't self-defense. It wasn't defense of others. It was just revenge. And it was horrific. And not only did they kill him like that, burn him alive, but they also faked a godly punishment, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to try and, like, further push their agenda. Like, this also just makes the new truth look bad and makes them look like just frauds. Now, I'm not saying that they are completely frauds. I honestly think that these demons are real based on all the evidence we've seen as viewers. But this is not a good look. I was talking about earlier in the episode, too, that it's like this guy is, like, skeezy. Like, he acts all super nice and kind and everything, but then he gets, like, super invasive with, like, this line of questioning that we see him asking Miss Park. And it's like, that is just super skeezy. Like, there's no better word for that than skeezy, too. It's like, that is the perfect word to describe that. This dude is just, ugh. The first episode, I was willing to look at him as like, okay, this guy's like a little out of whack, but he seems like he's trying to do things for the right purpose. Well, that's fucking out the window now. I don't even think he believes in this doctrine. I genuinely don't. And I'm not saying that the Arrowhead are any better, because the Arrowhead are psychotic, let's be honest. But he, by no means, is that much better than them. He's just nicer about it. That's really the only difference. And, like, now you have this entire thing with broadcasting this shit. And yeah, these kids got money and everything, and it's like they're going to be well taken care of. That's awesome. They don't deserve to be punished for all this shit. But what the fuck? Oh my god. And then one of these guys, one of these cops, he's a traitor. He's part of the Arrowhead. He leaked all of Miss Park's information, including her kids' information. Which, fuck him. Like, oh my god. Like, I almost hate him just as much as, like, the leader. The New Truth leader. Because it's like, or just, I guess, the leader, the spokesperson of the Arrowhead as well. Because it's like, okay, you leak her information, that's one thing. But you leak her kids' information? You put her kids in danger? Fuck you. I'm sorry, that's not okay. This is a 6-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy. Putting them in fucking danger because of this shit is just fucking scummy as hell. Like, what the fuck? And they're, like, talking about, like, using the kids. Like, the kids are witnesses to try and find out this Miss Park's crimes. It's like, oh my fucking god, what the hell is wrong with people? As you notice, I'm getting very invested in this. This episode was a lot better than episode 1. It was a notable improvement. Not just in the pacing, though. Even though, like, the demons weren't shown at all in this episode, this series isn't really about that. I feel like I went into this, and I feel like a lot of people probably went into this series thinking this series was going to be like, oh, demons running around killing people, and, you know, our human survivors have to hide and, you know, survive. Something, I guess, closer to Alice in Borderland. Um, but no, instead, it's more about the human response to all of this. It's about how we as people would look at something this horrific and tragic and basically try to market it. it's it's definitely a commentary on people nowadays. It's saying a lot, and now that we really get that in this episode, now that it's starting to really come together a lot more, you really understand that better. You understand what they're trying to do with this series. And like I said, I went into this expecting what I said, expecting it to be like more like Alice in Borderland. Um, I because all I had seen from this was like a screen cap of the dude running from the demons, and I heard like, I guess, the most basic synopsis of like the demons coming to Earth and like attacking people. It's like that's pretty much all I knew going into this series. So yeah, I thought it was going to be something like that, but no. I think that's also partially why episode one disappointed me a little bit, because it wasn't what I expected it to be. But again, now that I know it's not that, this second episode works a lot better. It's allowed me to view it in a different light and allowed me to connect to it a lot more and understand what they're going for. And that doesn't stop it from being stressful. It's definitely stressful. I got very uncomfortable there for a bit. And honestly, a lot of these situations are making me uncomfortable. But nonetheless, this is a pretty wild series. And I'm going to say right now, based on what I was talking about in the pre-thoughts and all, we are continuing for now. Like, there's no sign of it being dropped for the moment, at least. So, yeah, this episode, again, huge improvement. Not, like, the best thing I've ever seen or whatnot. Like, even within this kind of scope of things, I going with Alice in Borderland or Squid Game stuff I've referenced in this reaction today, those are better, without question. But that's not to discount this at all, either. It's just like stuff like that is just better, in my opinion. But yeah, I still enjoyed this a lot more. I'm definitely interested to see where a lot of this goes. Like, is it ever going to be like discovered that that the new Truth Leader and Ji Jung or whatever her name is it going to be discovered that they killed that guy? And if so, is that going to like change a lot of people's minds on the new Truth? Considering it's like, oh, then shouldn't he be punished? Shouldn't she be punished? And everything. And are they going to get punished? Is that going to be a thing? I'm curious about that too. There's a lot of questions that are kind of raised with this episode, and it's like, okay, what are they going to do going forward? It's definitely interesting, to say the least. But tell me in the comments, what did you think of this episode of Hellbound? Let me know, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.